Let's speak now to William Lawrence. He is a professor of political science at American University and joins me from Washington. Professor, more countries are now telling their citizens to leave Ethiopia. What kind of situation are we looking at if Tigrayan rebels are able to move into the capital?
Quite dire. It could be as bad as a bloodbath, street-to-street fighting, etc. Not only has the U.S., France, and Germany called for its nationals to leave, but the U.S. has positioned special operations forces nearby to evacuate embassy personnel and others if it comes to it. Until recently, it was unclear whether without negotiations it would be weeks or months. But now it looks like days or weeks before the insurgents would be on the gate, be at the gates of the capital. They're only about, 170 kilometers away, less than 100 miles away. And so it wouldn't take much for the capital to be under assault.
The U.S. Special Envoy Jeffrey Feltman says progress is being made toward a diplomatic solution. But is diplomacy still even possible at this stage as we see this escalation on the ground?
Yes, it was more hopeful today than it was yesterday. Yesterday my sense was that Abiy Ahmed and other commanders on both sides had chosen war and had more or less given up on negotiations. When Abiy Ahmed started using the language of dying for the cause and going to the battlefront to be a savior or to die, that this would this pretended a lack of confidence, along with the international actions about any sort of negotiated solution. But today, after Feltman's departure, there seemed to be significant progress. And what the U.S. government's been saying through several different statements by different people is that there is a way out of this still. And their main fear is that the fighting itself would stop the negotiations from happening. As you know, war is politics by other means. And so both the battlefront, the worsening conditions of the battlefront and the intensity of the negotiations are moving in tandem. If I had to predict, I think there's going to be more war than peace for the short term. But there is a diplomatic opening here that could lead to some kind of temporary ceasefire.
And, this conflict has led to humanitarian crisis and famine-like conditions in North Ethiopia. How far is this setting back the humanitarian situation in the country?
It definitely sets it back, and it's not famine-like, it's famine. We have roughly 500,000 Ethiopians already in a state of famine. We have another 4 million or so in a state of extreme precariousness in terms of food security. We have millions of displaced, of course, tens of thousands dead, refugees fleeing to other countries, large numbers of IDPs. It's a humanitarian catastrophe. I mean, not quite on the level of Syria or Yemen yet, but it's moving in that direction rapidly. And with the armed forces paying attention to the wrong things, the only positive outcome here in a humanitarian sense would be either a negotiated solution, which would be best, or a swift victory by one side or the other. But a protracted conflict, which is what most people are predicting, in which neither side wins, bodes very badly for the innocent civilians of Ethiopia.
All right, Professor William Lawrence joining us from Washington. Thank you so much.